So we're in the Zvezda booth here with William Liebling, and we're going to learn about, you can probably already see in the shop here, some really detailed plastic miniatures for two different games. One has a World War II theme, one is sort of feudal Japan theme. Let's start maybe with Samurai Battles and talk a little bit about that.
All right. Samurai Battles is, of course, a tactical board game of feudal Japanese warfare. As a Japanese general, you have your units of samurai and ashigaru warriors that you deploy around the battlefield. And we actually have two complete games in the same box. The first game was designed by a Russian designer. His name is Konstantin Krivenko. And it's called The Art of Tactic. And it uses special unit cards for every unit in the game that you can write on with a dry erase marker. And you secretly assign orders to every one of your units simultaneously with your opponent, and then resolve them at the same time.
So you're writing on the card.
You actually write on the cards,
That's
exactly.
Cool.
The second game is the Commands and Colors system from Richard Borg. This is the same that's in Memoir 44 and other similar games. And because they use the same type of models, we were able to include everything you need for both games in the same box.
Wow.
So depending on what style of game you feel like playing, you can sort of switch back and forth as you go.
Okay.
I'd like to thank you for mentioning the models. One of the cool things about working with Zvezda is they're actually a model company. Their specialty is making plastic models of all kinds. Mm-hmm. Because of that, we have access to some great artists and sculptors who are able to make fantastic models, fantastic miniatures. And one of the things that we're very careful of is the historical veracity. So we actually researched all of the historical units, the uniforms, the weaponry, the different vehicles in the World War II game.
I love this unit.
Yeah, this is our general for our Japanese army. And an example of the historical aspects that we explore, we have this little guy up here. He has a special kind of silk bag. I don't know the Japanese word for it, unfortunately, but the idea of this bag is that it would absorb arrows that were fired at the unit. So his job is to squat down in front of the general, and when the enemy shoots his arrows at him, he stands up to collect all the arrows so the general can live another day. And that's the kind of little details that we like to work into the models and everything in the game.
Excellent. That's great.
Now, moving on to the World War II game. Now, this is a game that does it use the same art of tactics
Uses
mechanics?
the same art of tactics mechanics. It's a little bit different because, there's a different style of warfare between the samurai warfare and World War II.
Sure.
But it uses the same card system. Every unit, again, has its own unit card, which has all the information that you need for that unit, how good it is in combat, how much ammunition it carries, things like that. Mm-hmm. And again, you secretly write the orders for every unit on its card, and then you resolve them moving around the board. What I'm showing here is our next release for that, called Blitzkrieg 1940.
Okay.
And it has Germans and British fighting in northern France in the very early stages of the war.
Okay, so this game has a longer pedigree in terms of there are multiple iterations of the game?
Correct. It was originally released last year with a Barbarossa 1941, which of course was Germans and Russians. And then we did an expansion for that called Battle for the Danube, which expanded on that and added some new units and some new tactics. And then this year we're doing the Blitzkrieg 1940 to expand, add another nationality. And the plan is to continue releasing more sets and expansions to get all the different countries that were involved in the war.
It seems like the sky's the limit as far as expandability. You've got all the history behind it, and the theater of warfare was so huge that you could keep going.
Absolutely.
And one of the things that I really like that they're doing, we're sort of progressing through the war historically. So we're starting with the early war, and then as we go, we'll add later and later units. And that way, if you get units now, you can continue to use them because there were very few types of equipment that was completely abandoned. Even very late in the war, you could still find early war tanks that had somehow survived and were still being used. And that way, anything that you get will be usable within all of the expansion sets that we release. The designer, Konstantin, actually has a military background. He is a veteran of the Soviet Army. And he brought that expertise into his design. And what he wanted was a game that was as realistic as possible. So all of the concerns and issues that a real combat commander has to worry about, he tried to include in the game but he wanted to keep it simple, which is why he put everything on the unit cards. And one of those things, of course, is ammunition.
It's really fun to see. We're seeing more, but we don't often see many games out of Russia.
No.
In terms of different publishers and things, we've covered a few on our program that are fairly new. Is Zvezda, I know they've done models. Are these the only games they have available, or are they sort of branching out into other?
They actually have done a number of other games. They have an entire line of family games, which is produced under the Sirius logo.
Okay.
They also have a number of other strategy games. They did Heroes of the World a couple years ago.
Okay.
They have the Art of Tactics stuff. Their most recent release was called Maya, which is kind of a abstract strategy game of building Mayan pyramids. So yeah, and they got new stuff that they're working on now, and they're here to stay. They've got big plans.
What price point do we have Samurai and Blitzkrieg at?
I don't know off the top of my head.
Okay, don't worry. Where can people find out more information about these games and maybe the prices and stuff?
They can go on our website, either zvezda.org.ru or artoftactic.com or samuraibattles.com.
Okay, perfect.
And they also have a Facebook page which has information that you can get there. It's just search for Zvezda on Facebook and you'll find them.
Do all the copies of Samurai Battles come with chocolate chip cookies?
Only the very special ones.
Gotcha.
Well, thank you so much, William, for taking some time out to talk to us and introduce us to games from Russia. We don't often get to see them, and it's really exciting to see such great quality coming from all the way around the world.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much.
Thanks.
Thank you too.
Thanks.